Some comments have come in that are criticising me for saying that I think the Conservatives have lost so many of these seats, and rather than the Labour Party winning. I think the Conservatives have lost partly because some of polls which have been done identifying the Conservative Party increasingly as the nasty party, as indeed Theresa May self-identified years and years ago. It's the nasty party partly because of its targeting of welfare payments, the PIP things to the disabled and the long-term sick, but also because of its obsession with attacking those people who've come here, the migrants, and failing to process their applications and then blaming them for taking over hotels. There are many solutions to the migrant problem, and one of those solutions would be to send migrants, for example, to Albania. But, of course, Suella Braverman messed up that one by having a row with Albania and calling them all invaders, and banging on the dispatch box and refusing to apologise both to Edi Rama, the Prime Minister of Albania, and to Crown Prince Leka, both of whom wrote to her personally, I believe, and she snubbed them both. Well, when you snub a country, then it's very difficult to coattail to Giorgia Meloni's plans to process migrants in Albania, which I think would do Italy good, it would do the migrants good, and it would do Albania good, and we would be much better off sending people there where there is a semblance of European culture, rather than sending people to Rwanda where we can't monitor what's going on. At the same time, I think we would have been much better off investing money not in simply giving handouts to the French police, but in setting up consulates on the northern border of France and processing people there rather than when they get to the UK by whatever means they wish to. In fact, we could have put into legislation rules which would stop people applying for asylum on the other side of the channel. We could make it clear that the place to apply for asylum was on the French side of the channel, and we could define our border effectively for asylum there rather than in Dover. And so we've missed a lot of tricks. We've wasted a lot of money, and similarly, Rishi Sunak's sick note culture crusade again is suggesting that people on welfare, people who are disabled, are simply lazy. That again is unreasonable, and the majority of people from those who have been surveyed by, for example, a We Think poll last week found people were 75% of those people surveyed, that's 3/4 of those people surveyed, disapproved of further cuts to welfare. And a majority of those surveyed, 54%, felt that there's too little government support for the disabled and sick. And 29% said that the current levels of payment to these groups should be maintained. Maybe they should even be getting higher. 46%, I think, recognise the Conservative Party as the nasty party, and even Reform was only identified as the nasty party by 17%, and that's with Richard Tice mouthing off and the shadow of Nigel Farage in the background, both very vocal. And yet it's the Conservative Party which is identified as the nasty party. And John Curtis has indicated that these local elections are the worst Conservative performances in the last 40 years, and they presage significant disaster for the coming general election. 26% of voters said they would be either very or quite likely to back Sunak's party in the general election, compared to 42% who said they would back Keir Starmer's. But the overwhelming majority did not trust the Conservative Party. 42% backing Keir Starmer. Very good, but it's not over 50, is it? And I think there's an insufficient set of policies from Keir Starmer to make the Labour Party attractive. Keir Starmer doesn't need to make the Labour Party attractive. Keir Starmer simply has to wait for the Conservative Party under this maladroit administration to make itself as unpleasant and as unfit for rule as possible. In fact, the less Keir Starmer says, the less the Labour Party says, the better for the more flexibility there will be for the Labour Party when it enters number 10. I fully understand why the Labour Party is light on policies. I fully understand, and certainly if I were advising the Labour Party and Sir Keir Starmer, I would be giving them that sort of advice, to be light on policies, because the Conservative Party is doing the job of the general election for the Labour Party. The Conservatives are already losing the next election.